Hi, it's Donna and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be working on my pantry challenge again, and since I already did the downstairs freezer yesterday and the refrigerator a few days ago, today I'm going to work on the upstairs freezer. I moved a lot of things that were up here downstairs. After I cleaned, I had some room. So here's something that I do when bananas are starting to get a little mushy and overripe. I just peel them and freeze them. I know 3 bananas is what I need for my banana bread recipe, and also frozen bananas are perfect to put in a smoothie, which I might be making this afternoon with some of that almond milk. I've got some peaches that I had peeled and diced up and froze. They weren't all that flavorful, so I froze them and to deal with later. So later has come. So I think I'm going to try making like a peach cobbler with these. I keep steak bones in a bag to make beef broth. So maybe some beef barley soup, shrimp, which needs to go back downstairs. I have some tortillas that I put in the freezer, and I've got a whole bunch of hamburger and hot dog rolls that I got to see what they're looking like, and some andouille sausage that I think I might be gonna make the jambalaya with. All right, here's something else that I do. I've got these frozen chunks of this chicken broth, and when I bake chicken, I use the broth for other recipes. So I'll take it and I freeze it in 1 cup chunks, and then when they're frozen, I stick them all in a bag. It's just easier, so I could take them out as I need them. And then I had gotten lemons really cheap in the summertime, so I juice and zest them and then freeze them just like this in little containers, and then dump them all in a bag. So like this is the juice of 2 lemons, and I know like I need that for my lemon meringue pies, or I make a lemon chicken with orzo. So it's so much easier just to keep them in the bag. So every time I open up the freezer, these little containers come flying out. So I finally just dumped them all in the bag. Works a lot better. Making progress. On the door of the freezer, I keep these bags of herbs that I have grown and some zest. When I get oranges, I usually zest them up and juice them, and I freeze the zest. Keeps her quite a while. And then same thing with the lemons. Sometimes I'll just separate out the zest instead of freezing it like I did in those chunks. This is parsley from the garden. I just grab it by a bunch, use an elastic, I wash it, and then just stick it in the bag just like that. And then I cut off at the end with kitchen shears. And the same thing with cilantro, which I grow in the garden too. So I'm making progress here. I'm in one of the drawers that has vegetables. This is broccoli rabe. I grew it for the first time last spring. Sauteed it with olive oil and garlic, and I'm not thrilled. It's really bitter, and I don't know if I really like it, so I may just toss that. This is also kale that I grew for the first time last year, and actually it came up really, really well. I have found a few recipes for soup that uses this, and I really like it. I blanch it briefly and then chop it and freeze it in bags, so that's great. The Brussels sprouts that I bought on sale, I blanched those quickly and froze them. Some yellow squash, the same thing. And then I got mushrooms, and since they don't keep well in the fridge, I saute them sometimes with a little onion if I have it, and then I freeze them. So this is like one of those small containers of mushrooms. So I've got a few of those, and I have quite a few recipes that I use these in. I throw them in the Instant Pot for like chicken marsala, or if I'm making a beef stroganoff, or sometime with spaghetti sauce. Now this is what I do with sauerkraut. When you open up 1 can of sauerkraut, my God, the thing expands to like a huge amount. So I use, I have one of those Instant Pot silicone things for egg bites, and I freeze the sauerkraut in little balls, and it's perfect for like a hot dog with sauerkraut, or maybe a Reuben. So that's great to keep in the freezer. Some zucchini, I use that in the minestrone. These were some diced onion greens from my garden. Those are always great. Oh, and diced green peppers. At the end of the season, I take all the teeny tiny peppers that are left just before it freezes, and I dice them up and throw them in a bag. They're perfect for things like even in a pasta salad. They'll thaw out and they'll be fine. Jalapenos here, I grew those actually on my back patio in pots. Those are great. I loved the stuffed jalapenos. And I've got some chunks of green pepper. I need to use that up, so I might be using those in the jambalaya. So I just finished. It took about 2 hours to do all of this, but oh my gosh, it's so much better. I think I'm going to dump out this ice and wash that out and change that. Everything on the door is all squared away. I brought up some flour. This is the best flour I have found to make bread, so I need some bread. And this is a package, a couple of pounds of yeast that I had bought a few years ago, and I keep it in the freezer. It stays quite well. A couple of pounds of butter up here. Some small amounts of different types of flour, semolina and rye. And then I've got the soups that I have made. Took the flour that I had in the refrigerator out of there and put it in the freezer where I really like to keep it. Let's see, some more things that are already made. And I have one of these drawers is vegetables and the fruit. This one is like breads and oats, and then this is just cheese at the bottom. So I found a few things that I took out. I want to make some bread today. I took out these steak bones. I'm going to make beef broth. I might just keep on going and make the beef barley soup, and I'll freeze that. Somebody gifted me at Christmas with some seafood salad and some seaweed salad. So I'm going to have that for lunch, or, well, it's still frozen, so maybe not today. I'm going to use this andouille sausage and make the jambalaya. I'm going to make a half batch. And one time I was making the jambalaya and I ran out of rice. I know, who runs out of rice? But I had some of this yellow Spanish rice, and I used it along with the flavor packet in the jambalaya, and it came out so good that I don't use plain rice anymore. I use these. So a half of a recipe is fine for me. That'll last a couple of days. So I decided to take out the steak bones from the freezer and get the broth going for beef barley soup. I had 3 stalks of celery left, so I rinsed it off and cut off the ends and threw that in. I'm going to use some carrots in the beef barley soup, so I just peeled, and I washed the carrots really well and just peeled them. Put them right in here. There's a couple of bay leaves. Get that going. And I'm working on the jambalaya. I cut the andouille sausage when it was partially frozen. Actually, it made it a little easier to cut. So, and the half box of yellow rice mix that I had was looking kind of sticky and old, so I just opened up a new box. And I'm gonna try it with the entire box in here. It didn't look like that much. So we'll see what happens. So this is gonna cook for a little bit. I'm gonna get the rice cooked a little tiny bit, and I'll finish this off in a few minutes.